everyone. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I am so excited for today's video. I've just been having so much fun doing the Zodiac Deacon videos that I wanted to kind of run with that idea and use it to just go over the planetary transits that happen on a daily basis, and again use that tarot system to kind of approach that and understand those changes that go on throughout our days. So I hope that you enjoy going on this little adventure with me. Let me know what you think about this type of video. I'm very curious to hear from you, but in the meantime, I'm just going to enjoy the ride that we're about to go on. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I will be covering the daily transits for Sunday, May 18th. So the first transit here is going to start at 1:27 a.m. and these times are Pacific times. So adjust accordingly depending on where you live. This first transit here is going to be the moon in Aquarius, sextiling Neptune in Aries. And so the moon in Aquarius is going to be a lot about what we see here. The moon being our emotional internal world, connected to Aquarius, which is linked to our hopes and dreams, our community, our open-mindedness, communication, things like that. And so again, that is sextiling Neptune in Aries, and that's because Aquarius is an air sign, Aries is a fire sign, and so they work very well together. The elements kind of boost each other, they rile each other up, which is going to function well for the moon and Neptune. Likely with this energized and collaborative situation going on here, you might feel more willing or able to act on your hopes and dreams, or to step up and be a leader in your community, so that kind of thing. Moving on from there, at 5:34 a.m. we're going to have a conjunction. This time it's going to be the moon in Aquarius conjuncting Pluto in Aquarius. So let me find the card for that. So I'll kind of put it like that so we can kind of see the cards there. I gotta say, I think it was this Lightseers deck that really made me fall in love with the Judgment card. I just love this card so much. I think it's so beautiful. Here we see the beauty of Pluto, which I think usually everyone's afraid of Pluto in whatever, right? Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto in Aquarius now. There's a lot of nervous energy that comes with that, but I think this card shows us the beauty of Pluto. Here we have this female character, and she's calling up her true essence. I just love how her spirit is being called up, her authentic self. She might have this facade or this personality that she projects to people in her daily life, right? But in this card, we see that her true self is magical, it's expansive, it's beautiful, it's artistic. And so I think it shows us how Pluto calls up the best in us, calls up the real us. And I think it's just such a beautiful card there, and just a great way to think about Pluto, wherever Pluto may reside. And so at 5:34 in the morning, it will be conjuncting with Aquarius. So the moon and Pluto will both be in this sign. And that's a lot about, again, the hopes and dreams, that theme that comes up with the 11th house and Aquarius. Sometimes a little bit of rebellion, but just open-mindedness, open to change, flexibility, all that kind of good stuff. And it's all for our betterment, I guess, let's call it, for our true self to come out. And so that might be at the start of some of your guys' day. From there, we move on to a sextile, this time between Jupiter in Gemini, sextiling Chiron in Aries. So let me put these cards aside. And so I like to represent Chiron with the Hierophant. That's because Chiron is the wounded healer, and I feel like that aligns well with the Hierophant card. The Hierophant is kind of like a teacher, an ancestor, that kind of vibe, and so in my mind that fits Chiron very well. Jupiter is represented by the Wheel, Gemini by the Lovers, and let's find Aries again. Here we go. And so again, this is a sextile. Another card that actually represents Jupiter in Gemini is the Eight of Swords. And so quickly, let me just cover that. Jupiter is an expansive planet. We like to associate it with luck, but here the Wheel of Fortune also shows us that it's not just luck. Sometimes it's, well, I guess it's luck in all its forms. Sometimes it's good luck. Sometimes it's maybe not so good luck, maybe bad luck, right? Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. And so I like this image, you know, maybe where the chips may fall is a line that comes to mind, or rolling the dice, right? So here she's standing on top. So all phrases that kind of align nicely with this idea of luck. And so that is Jupiter again, this time in Gemini. And Gemini is represented by the Lovers. I like to think of the Lovers card as a card about choices in life, being possibly at a crossroads, which is why the Eight of Swords makes perfect sense as a card that represents Jupiter and Gemini. Sometimes when there are changes that happen in life and we're faced with choices, we can get a little stuck. You know, we can overthink situations, get a little frazzled or frightened, and just, you know, be stuck in our own heads and unable to make those choices. So I think it's a great card to represent this position here. And this is sextiling the Chiron in Aries. And that again is because we have Gemini, an air sign, working here with a fire sign. So they're going to fire each other up, fuel that fire, and kind of rile each other up. So Chiron and Aries can be the sense of kind of a wounded sense of identity, a wounded sense of self. And so some combination there where maybe, you know, could be a bit of a challenge. It's a sextile, but maybe a sextile for not the best, potentially. You know, it's just however you work with these challenges and obstacles, but it might present a bit of a hurdle or, you know, a bit of an obstacle to overcome. Don't let, I guess the idea is, don't let your wounded sense of self, your insecurities frustrate you or trip you up when faced with choices. That's how I would kind of present that. Moving on from this transit here, we have at 11:18 p.m., so the end of the day, again, the moon in Aquarius, this time sextiling Venus in Aquarius. So, sorry, Venus in Aries. So let me pull the cards for that. So again, the moon in Aquarius, sextiling Venus in Aries. which is represented by the Four of Wands. This is a very kind of familial situation, like kind of like a mother figure, father figure, structures of life, foundations of life. Oftentimes, the Four of Wands is referred to as like a marriage, right? Those fundamental things in our life. The number 4 is a foundational kind of number there. So, again, we have Venus in Aries sextiling the moon in Aquarius. And once again, it's because we have air and fire working well together. It might be a great opportunity to do some foundational work, to lean on our ability to take charge, to create something beautiful, to nurture our heart's desires, our hopes and dreams, to nurture our communities, our loved ones. So that kind of energy there. I think it's a great way to end the day. Yeah, again, just a nice little note to end on there with this, I think, kind of positive sextile in this case. I hope that you enjoyed talking about this with me today, and I look forward to trying this again soon. Thank you. Bye.